I'm 37 male, married to Kate, 35 female for 2 years. Kate is a professor at City College, and I'm into marketing. We met at a common friend's party and befriended each other. We got connected on social media, but nothing happened between us for a long time. She was dating someone at that time, and even I was in an on-off relationship. Some 4 years ago, it was on her birthday that I wished her on Facebook. It was well past midnight. That chat went on for the whole night, and we ended up meeting the next day for coffee. She had no plans for her birthday, so I took her out for dinner and a long drive. It started from there, and fast forward to 2 years back, we got married. In fact, it was only last month that we celebrated our second anniversary. Our life was running smoothly until a few weeks ago, when my friend told me he had seen Kate with a man who looked quite young, in his 20s. I asked him what a big deal about it. He could be a friend. My friend hesitantly told me their body language didn't suggest he was a friend. They were sitting very close to each other, and the guy's hand was on Kate's waist, and his lips were almost feeling her cheeks. My friend said he stood there for a while to see if it was just a mere misunderstanding, but he actually saw them cuddling. I asked him if he had taken any pictures of them. He said it happened so suddenly that it just didn't click on him to take pictures. Besides, it was a public place, and he was afraid that people would have frowned at him for clicking the couple in a romantic moment. Although I believed my friend, it was just too vague to confront Kate about this. I could not label her to be a cheater on the basis of what my friend had seen. On returning home, I saw Kate busy reading a book. I wanted to ask her if she had met her friend that day, but I couldn't figure out the best way to ask this without sounding suspicious. It would have been easier if we were a couple who shared every minute details of the day with each other. It wasn't that we didn't share anything, but we didn't share everything, just the important ones. In order to get into the zone, I started small talk with Kate. I made up a story that I bumped into my school friend today at a client meeting. He was our client, and we ended up having lunch together. Her reaction was very generic. "Oh, that's nice. Must have been great catching up with your old friend." I was like, "Yeah." I further asked her about her day. She said it was just normal, nothing special had happened, and got back into reading her book. I sensed that something was off. If that guy was her friend or colleague, she would have told me about having lunch with him. He was indeed not her friend. From that day onward, my mind got alert, and I started noticing Kate very closely. I noticed her for a few days, but found nothing suspicious in her behavior. However, I just couldn't let it go, so I made my next move, checking her phone. So that night, when she was asleep, I logged into her phone. Her inbox and social media were clean except for the general chats from her colleagues and students. Then I checked her phone log, but nothing seemed suspicious. I scrolled to history to look up the call history of the day when my friend had seen her with a man. I found a phone call just during the time my friend had seen them together. The contact was saved as Rumi 16, which meant he was her student of the 2016 batch. Kate saves the contact of her student with name and batch number for easy recognition. I was perplexed. It was still believable that she was sitting closely with a friend, but with her student, it sounds so weird and gross. I realized that I scanned the chats of her colleagues and friends, but didn't see the chats of her students. Your wife sleeping with her student is the last thing one can imagine. I opened her WhatsApp again and looked for Rumi's chat, and there it was. She had been sexting him for the last few months. Prior to that, the chat was of 2016, with messages of farewell and good wishes. It seemed that 2 months ago, he texted her that he was back in the city. Apparently, he moved to Texas after his graduation. I didn't have the time to read all the messages one by one, so I exported the chat to my mail and deleted the history. I wanted to read everything she had been saying to her young lover. I spent the night reading and rereading the conversation. After reading the messages, I got to know that we were in a physical relationship while he was still in college. It started when Kate started taking his class in his final year. Rumi realized that Kate was having a soft corner for him, and hence, he started softly flirting with her. Kate ignored it initially, but indulged and confessed to him that she felt an unresisted desire to feel his body. That's how their physical relationship started. However, towards the end of college, he fell in love with a girl, apparently the daughter of a rich businessman in Texas, and decided to move to Texas with his girlfriend after graduation. Kate got disheartened to know, and to cheer her up, Rumi did her multiple times during his last few months of stay in college. When I was reading the text on her phone, I read only until the farewell wishes and didn't scroll up further. But I'm glad I exported all the chat, which helped me understand the full story. I'm sure Kate wouldn't have revealed all these in detail. You know the fun part, Kate was dating someone else during that period. This means that she has always been a cheater. Kate and Rumi had been no contact since he moved out, just normal wishes on birthdays and Christmas. Some 3 months back, Rumi texted her that he had shifted back to the city with his wife. His rich girlfriend from Texas was now his wife, and now he is taking care of his father-in-law's business in the city. Rumi initiated the conversation with Kate by saying he missed her body and wanted to taste her again. Kate's initial response to his advances showed that she resisted, but eventually she gave in and slept with him a few times. Scanning the messages, it looked like it was 4 to 5 times. By the time I finished reading the chats, it was already dawn. I had work the next day, so I tried to get some sleep. By the time I woke up, she had already left for college. I also made my breakfast and went to the office. When I returned from the office, Kate wasn't at home. Usually, she comes back from the college by 5 p.m., but it was 7 p.m. and she had still not arrived. She usually used to hang out with her friends and colleagues after college, and it never bothered me. This time, it was different. I wanted her to be home so that we could have the confrontation and get done with it. I had all the evidence, so there was no point beating around the bush. The revelation was suffocating me, and I wanted it to be over as soon as possible. As the time passed, I got restless. I called her and asked her to come home. She asked me if everything was fine because I had never done this before. Within 30 minutes, she was home. When she entered the house, I was sitting on the front porch. She understood that the matter was serious because I was neither with my phone nor iPad, just sitting idle. She rushed towards me and asked me what was wrong. I told her, "Sorry I disturbed your meeting with Rumi. That's his name, right?" She gave a cold look at me and asked what I meant. I said there was no need to play hide and seek anymore. She said I was accusing her baselessly. I showed her the chat exports, and she froze. She stood silent for a moment and then accused me of breaching her privacy. Really? I sneaked into her phone, and that was a privacy breach, and she sneaking into other men's pants is no crime. Wow. I asked her if her last breakup was also due to this Rumi guy. She snapped at me that it was not my business, but I kept repeating myself like a psychopath, and she confessed that her last boyfriend had also broken up when he got to know that she was sleeping with her student. I laughed and asked how she could be so foolish to destroy her relationship for a man who had sorted out all his aspects of his life and was leading it peacefully. She fought back, saying he was really addictive. What? Is his blood filled with cocaine? I told her that she had to leave the house because we were living in my house. She looked unremorseful and said that there was no reason to be overly dramatic. It was just physical, and no emotions were involved. She asked me to reconsider the decision as I was being impulsive. I said so be it and asked her to leave. She stamped her foot and went inside, shouting that I would regret my decision and come back running to her in 2 days, pleading with her to come back home. Haha, really? She was effing delusional. Pleading her for reconciliation would be the last thing I'd do in my life. She packed her stuff while I sat on the front porch. While leaving, she didn't even look at me and went out straight. I told her that I would be sending the divorce papers soon, and that if she had the same level of self-respect as that day, she should sign it uncontested. She didn't say anything and left. She was behaving as if it were my crime, and I made the mistake of checking her phone and uncovering her cheating. While leaving the house, she gave me an evil vibe that she was not going to let it go easily. If she had been civil, I would have let it go, but the way she showed her tantrums, I badly wanted to destroy her ego. I searched for this Rumi on social media before he would block me. I scavenged his wife's profile and sent her a request as her account was private. Meanwhile, I hired a lawyer. Rumi's wife didn't accept my request even after 2 days, so I didn't wait for her further. I sent her a few sections of the sex chats between Rumi and Kate, and she replied to me within an hour, asking about me for more details. I told her that I was Kate's husband with whom Rumi had been sleeping with. I also sent the section of the chat where Rumi was talking about her and her rich dad's business. She asked me if I could send her the whole conversation. I actually wanted to meet her and reveal everything, but didn't make the move because it would have looked creepy. I asked her for her email and sent it to her. She asked me how did I discover the truth, and I told her everything in detail. I told her to read the messages carefully, and she would get all the clarity. After a couple of hours, she responded, asking if I had confronted this Kate. I said yes. She said that she would involve her father to deal with Rumi and went offline. I wanted to check the status with her, but she has been offline since that conversation. It's been 3 days since then. Hence, I'm scared for that woman if she is safe. Rumi is using her for her father's money. I'm afraid he had harmed her after she got to know the truth. I'm trying to reach out to her through all of their social media and emails, but no luck. Hopefully, she is fine. Meanwhile, my lawyer is working on getting divorce papers ready. I'll make an update when the situation escalates. Now for the first update. Thanks for the affirmation. I really thought I was making an impulsive decision, but I did it anyway. I felt so positive when everyone patted me on my post and sent me kudos, saying I made a brave move. Thank you all. Okay, so I have some updates. Remember I said Rumi's wife was not responding. She disappeared for a good week. When I finally got a response, I was not relieved, but suspicious if it was she or if it was Rumi from her phone, so I asked her for a call. She saw my messages where I was showing my concern about her safety. She called me immediately, and then I was relieved. She told me that as soon as she completed reading the messages, she took the first flight to Texas. She was alone in the city and didn't want to deal with Rumi alone, who sounded so shady on the chat, so she involved her parents. She had switched off her phone for a week at her lawyer's suggestion because Rumi was trying all means to contact her. Her parents were afraid that if he got to talk to her, he might be able to convince her by giving some crappy reasons. She said she was not dumb to fall for his words, yet she followed her lawyer's advice. Did you know what Rumi's father-in-law did to him? It's classic. They didn't confront him regarding the cheating. Instead, they said that they had identified some accounting issues in the office handled by Rumi, and until it was over, he should stay away from his wife. Rumi was not able to place his fingers on the sudden suspicion of his in-laws. His father-in-law thought that a cheating case in court would not have done a lot of damage to Rumi because the court doesn't punish you for infidelity. At max, he would have been asked to pay alimony for the mental stress of his wife, but his father-in-law didn't need money. He wanted to destroy him. A few days after this, do you know who reached out to me? Rumi. His exact words were, "Dude, your wife is effing delusional. She's making up stories and insisting I marry her. Doesn't she know I'm 10 years younger than her? Yeah, we had sex, but I can't marry everyone I sleep with." What happened was, when Rumi told Kate about his issues with his in-laws, Kate said that it was I who had leaked the chats to his wife. But Rumi said that no one was talking about the affair, they were concerned about the accounting issue in the company. Rumi thought Kate was using the opportunity to convince him to marry her. I was actually laughing at his messages. He is no less delusional than Kate. He genuinely thought that his in-laws were upset because of the accounting issues and had no clue about his cheating. At least a month after D-Day, the divorce paper was ready. I called Kate's mother and asked if she was staying with her. She was shocked at my question because Kate was not with her. She asked me if everything was fine. I told her the truth. She didn't believe me and wanted me to share the evidence. By then, I was so exhausted proving this to everyone that I didn't care to make her believe me. I told her that I was sending the divorce papers to her house and told her to get it signed by her daughter. An hour after that, my phone was bombarded with Kate's abusive voicemails accusing me of destroying her and Rumi's life. I didn't block her because I wanted to see her true colors and how low she could stoop to abuse me. My relationship with her might be shorter compared to some of you who share their cheating wife and husband's stories. Yet I was with this woman for 4 long years. I married her, and it was indeed painful to separate from her. When she was done abusing me, I blocked her. It's been a week since then, but she has yet to sign the divorce papers. I checked with Rumi's wife as well to see if her divorce proceedings had begun. That princess is holidaying in Vegas to get out of the depression while her father is dealing with Rumi. Rich people have their own way of dealing with things. I'll update once all these are over. Right now, I just want to stay away from Kate's thoughts as much as I can and move on with my life. Now for the final update. My divorce is finally settled. Yes, thank you. There was one common comment in my last update that they see me dating Rumi's ex-wife because of the way I showed my concern. No guys, I'm in no mood to get into this mess. Besides, she is not my type. I cannot imagine or afford a luxurious trip after every misery in my life, and neither do I intend on leeching on her father's money, especially after knowing how they have dealt with Rumi. Rumi's father-in-law accused Rumi of embezzling the company's funds, and he somehow proved this in court. I don't know if Rumi actually siphoned money from his father-in-law's company or if he was just framed. Rumi's wife didn't know the details of how her father was able to prove this. I told you she is a rich princess who doesn't know the price of the vegetables. They used his fraud as a basis for separating his daughter from Rumi. His wife did whatever she was told by her father. Rumi was fined a hefty amount and had 3 months to pay the amount. In case he defaults, he would be charged criminally. The amount is huge, and she is sure that Rumi would not be able to pay that huge amount of money, and he might ultimately land up in jail. Besides, it has cost him huge reputational damage which mere cheating wouldn't have done. Rumi's father-in-law is indeed a badass man. As far as my case is concerned, Kate played a lot of tricks before signing the papers. She wanted my house as the alimony. She used to be at the forefront of talking about feminism, and when she actually had to show her morals, she stooped so low to rip me off of my house. I don't know if this was feminism, according to her. She was the one who cheated on me, and yet she needed to be compensated. What kind of logic is this? But thank God I had a competent lawyer who fought through this and secured my house from her claws. And thank God I had the evidence of her infidelity. I have read so many stories of victims who had been cheated upon, plus ripped off from their property and houses. I wanted a clean divorce, but she made it complicated, so I also played along. She told her colleagues that she was divorcing me because I was cheating on her, and hence, she wanted the house as the alimony as compensation. Plus, she got all the sympathy from her friends and colleagues, so I did what I should have done much earlier. I sent her explicit chats with Rumi to a few of her colleagues, and you know how people are hungry for gossip at the workplace. The chats got circulated amongst all the faculties, and Kate became the gossip subject in the teacher's room. Kate called me from a landline and abused me badly for leaking her chats. This time, I gave it back to her. I told her to sign the papers or else I would leak them to her friends as well as to her college students, and it might become the next viral thing in the city. My voice was cold and stern, and she knew I could do it. I never thought of playing this dirty, but she forced me to. In fact, I didn't share it with her mother when she didn't believe my words because I never intended to humiliate her in this way. She agreed in my divorce terms and signed the papers in the next court hearing. Finally, I'm divorced and free from her trap. My friends are insisting that I start dating again, but I want to wait for some time before jumping on this bandwagon. Also, I haven't been in touch with Rumi's wife since her last update on Rumi's court case. Neither I'm interested to know what happens to him. I was in touch with her only until my divorce, but now, as it is settled, I don't want any traces of my past and my present life. I just want to move on. Little inspired by the princess Rumi's ex-wife, I'm also planning for a solo trip. No, not to Vegas, but to Montana. Hopefully I come back strong and fresh after my mountain trek in Montana. Thanks for hearing me out and cheering for me. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time, I'll see you again. Take care.